Today we're doing an updated review after 1 year of wear on my Citizen BN2038, also known as the Aqualand. So let's get right into it. For price, you can find this online for around $400. Of course, that's going to depend on which website you look at, but for me, my personal experience, I found it hovering around that $400 mark. And just a quick disclaimer, the engineer bracelet is something I put on myself. What comes with the watch is this silicone blue band, which is still very good quality, but for me, I always prefer the cold, lifeless feeling of steel. Now let's do a quick 360 just so you can see how light falls on the case. And here is the case back. And here's the other side. And in case you're wondering what this little thing here is, that's the electrode. So it detects water and then ultimately tells the watch if it's submerged underwater. For case diameter, not including the depth sensor, we get right around 44.7 millimeters, and then including the depth sensor, it jumps up to 50.8 millimeters. For overall case thickness or height, it comes to 16.2 millimeters, so it is quite a hefty watch as far as the case goes. And then lug width is 22 millimeters, and then lug to lug comes in at right around 52 millimeters. For weight, with a bracelet installed, you should expect your Aqualand to come in right at 226 grams or almost 8 ounces. Obviously without the bracelet and just the silicone band, it's going to be much lighter, but you know, I think a lot of people like to swap out the band for a steel bracelet, so that's just what you should expect. And here is the wrist shot on my 7.5 to 8-inch wrist. With functions and features, starting off at the top with the unidirectional bezel. It is a 60-click bezel, which I actually prefer. It just makes each click so much more substantial and satisfying to move. Some people prefer 120 click bezels because they're smoother. I don't know, I just like it better. It feels better to me. This is first and foremost a dive watch, so on the side right there you've got your depth sensor, and then on the other side, as I said before, here's your water sensing electrode. So if your watch gets submerged or really any kind of water touches it, it's going to put it into ready mode, which we'll go over later. And to maintain the watertight integrity, you've got screw down pushers right here. So you do have to unscrew them in order to operate them, just like with the Seiko Arnie, if you're familiar with that. And also you've got a screw down crown right here. And it is signed. And there you have it. You can see the the Promaster logo on it. For the internals, you've got a J250 movement. I don't know what that means. All I know is that it's a solar quartz movement. So Eco Drive, pretty much a bulletproof solar movement. And then right next to the 9 o'clock indice, you've got this power meter or charge level meter. So right now you can see that my Aqualand is at a full charge. Going over the charge level meter, it's broken up into 4 different sections. There's high, middle, low, and then empty. For the high setting, you've got about 340 to 300 days of charge. For the middle setting, you've got 300 to 200 days of charge. And then for low, it's 200 to 4 days of charge. And then for empty, you've got less than 4 days to get the Aqualand some sun. We've also got 200 meters of water resistance here, perfectly fine for me, and probably most of you out there that aren't like super hardcore divers. I think considering that this is an Aqualand, Maybe 300 meters would have been better, but for me it's perfectly fine. Along with that water resistance, you've also got depth indicating hands. So right here, you've got your hour hand right there, your minute hand right there, and then that red orange hand right underneath the minute hand, that is your depth indicating hand. And you might not be able to see it here, I'll try and get a close up. But as you submerge the watch and you go deeper and deeper, that hand is going to track your current depth, which is labeled on this outer chapter ring. So it starts at 0 meters right here at 3 and goes all the way around up to 70 meters at 10 o'clock. And so that's just a quick way for you to look at your watch and get a general idea of how deep you are. And underneath that depth indicating hand, it's kind of hard to see it, you can barely see it right now, but that is your max depth indicating hand. So what that's going to do is it's going to indicate your max depth. So as your main depth indicating hand goes and indicates which depth you're at, the max depth indicating hand underneath it is going to track until you get to your max depth. And as your main depth indicating hand, gets shallower and shallower, that max depth hand is going to stay in the same spot. And this is stored in the internal memory. And in order to go back to it or recall what your max depth was, you just hit this button right here. So the 8 o'clock pusher. So you hit that, and then it's going to show you what your last max depth was. Now for me, this is the factory setting, so all Aqualands are going to have a max depth of 60 meters. That doesn't mean that I personally went 60 meters. This watch also comes with a pretty nifty safety feature. It's got the rapid ascent alarm. And so what that is if the watch detects you coming up to the surface at greater than a rate of 9 meters per minute, then it's going to start beeping. And you can test this alarm, as a pre-dive safety checklist, but you would hit the button right here, the 8 o'clock pusher, so hit that once, and then you hit the 10 o'clock pusher, and then that's you verifying that your rapid ascent alarm works. It's going to keep beeping for 10 seconds, and if you don't cancel it out, it'll just stop automatically, like so. And earlier I mentioned the watch going into ready mode. Now that's another very nifty little safety feature. If you look on the charge level meter, that hand will point to the ready sign if it detects that the watch is in water. Now that's a great safety feature because that's letting you know that the watch functions properly. So if you were to go in the water and the hand did not point to the ready mode, then you can be sure that you know that this watch isn't going to be tracking depth properly. Now you can't tell, but there's a bowl of water right in front of the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and place the watch in the bowl of water. And there you can see the hand pointing to the ready sign, letting me know that the watch is ready to be submerged and track my depth and let me know if I'm in harm's way. You've got lume as well, and it is beautifully done. It's applied to all of the indices, the hour hand, minute hand, and the pip. And it just looks great, as always, with any Citizen watch. I'm not sure if it's the proprietary Naturalite or if it's just like a C3 Superluminova type thing. Either way, no issues. It's fantastic and will last for the majority of the night. Going over the band, fantastic quality, very robust and thick silicone strap here, and it feels great. Just for me, like I said before, I prefer the texture and feeling of a bracelet. And also I like to preserve the original components of the watch as much as I can. And because I'm not really seriously using it as a dive watch, there's no reason for me to wear this. Another cool little feature, I think maybe more gimmicky, is the dive extension strap right here. So you would just add this to your watch if you were wearing a thick dive suit, and it'll increase the length of your band. I say gimmicky because you're gonna have to carry this with you in order for it to be practical, and I highly doubt anyone's just gonna be carrying this with them. Aside from that, all we have left is the crystal, and it comes with a mineral crystal, which is so frustrating for me. I don't know, maybe mineral crystals are more reliable and rugged in a submerged environment. I'm not sure. Let me know if you know the right answer. Perhaps they are more flexible and able to withstand high sea pressure, but God, I would have preferred sapphire. But again, just my preference. So far it's been fine. It's been decently scratch resistant, and I say decently, I mean I haven't had any scratches on it, but also I have not really put it through the rigors of very tough work. This has been really more of like a office, more of like a dressy watch for me. So I don't know, let me know if you know if mineral crystal is better for dive watches. Now just going over my personal thoughts, straight off the bat, I absolutely love this watch. After a year of owning it, it has done nothing but bring joy to my watch collection. Everything about the red and blue bezel, it's not like a true Pepsi dial or a Pepsi bezel, but it really gives it a look of class and a very fun overall color scheme. There is an older model of this watch. It's the BN2039, and functionally they're exactly the same. But as you can see from the pictures, the 2029 is significantly more substantial in size and weight. It looks like a tool. And I think the 2038 was a fantastic option for somebody who wanted that dive style watch, but more for like casual outings, maybe something not so intense on the wrist. And I think they did a great job here. I will say, do not be fooled by its more elegant features. I mean, it's still a beefy, robust watch. At 16 millimeters of case thickness, I mean, that thing is a tank. And I think this is what Citizen does really well in their more budget-friendly price ranges. Definitely compared to their competitors like Seiko, their overall feeling of quality is almost unbeatable, and I think they did a great job here. The finishing is also done fantastically on this watch. You've got a polished finish in areas where it needs to be polished, but also done very tastefully. So it's not too much, it's not too in your face. The majority of the case is brushed, and I think a lot of you will agree with me that a brushed finish gives any watch that industrial look that just looks so cool. And aside from the aesthetic appeal to the watch, there's a lot of practical features that I think are very useful for actual divers. They don't apply to me because I'm not a diver, but I do like the fact that there is redundancy in the safety features, such as the ready mode, which is letting you know that the watch is functioning properly, and then the rapid ascent alarm. Just very useful tools for any diver. Some negatives, and these are very minor and mostly subjective, just my opinion, but I don't like the fact that they've got such substantial pushers here for very limited use. Like this top pusher is really only used to test the alarm, and it just seems a little bit overkill. Maybe they could have added like a backlight feature and you use this pusher to turn on a backlight. I don't know. For me, if it's a quartz battery operated watch, then why not have a backlight? Another negative is the mineral crystal. And again, that's just me. Like, I'm not a fan of mineral crystals. So that's about it for the Aqualand. Long story short, it's beautiful, it looks great, and it's very tough, and it feels solid, and the quality is fantastic. And on top of all of that, considering what it is, the price is, I think, a bargain. Definitely very budget friendly and attainable for most people. So that's all I got to say. I hope you enjoyed this review. Make sure to tune in for my next episodes. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Bye.